Welcome to my channel. Try to hear the latest story.
My fiancée declared, "I'm refusing to sign a prenup. You either have faith in me or we're done." I replied, "You're correct." That same evening, I called off the wedding. 3 days later, she was pleading for me to return on social platforms. I'm 32, male, or at least I was engaged to Stephanie, 29, female. Our ceremony was set for 2 months from then. Location reserved, food service prepaid, an extravagant sum spent on a high-end gown she insisted on. Our existence seemed ideal in my view. We were the pair that others envied or quietly resented. Solid careers, nice home, path ahead appearing paved in success. I run a modest tech firm specializing in software. I created it from scratch, launched it in my cramped apartment after graduation, with credit lines pushed to the limit and meals mainly of instant noodles and energy drinks. It's my pride and joy, not a massive corporation, but thriving, supporting 12 staff, and embodying 10 years of effort, dedication, and endless hours. Hence the prenup. It wasn't assuming the worst. It was about caution. My attorney, who's my longtime buddy Ryan, strongly recommended it. He explained, "It's not shielding from Stephanie. It's safeguarding your enterprise from a potential disaster." It was logical. The agreement was straightforward. Assets I have remain mine. Hers stay hers. Any joint ventures post-marriage would be shared equally, divided half and half. Equitable, isn't it? I mentioned it to Stephanie last Tuesday. I aimed to be soft, presenting it as Ryan suggested. Corporate safeguard. A method to maintain order and secure my team if things went south. She stared, her expression turning empty. A gaze I'd never witnessed. Detached. Strategic. "A prenup?" she uttered, the term sounding toxic on her tongue. "Yes," I responded, my hands growing clammy. "It's merely routine. For the firm." She emitted a brief, harsh chuckle. Not a joyful noise. "Routine? You view our union, our confidence as routine?" I attempted to clarify once more, but she raised her palm. "No, I understand. You lack faith in me. After all we've shared, you believe I'm after your money. Stephanie, that's not the case. I adore you." "Then demonstrate it," she stated, her tone shifting to a grave, earnest level. It appeared practiced, perhaps influenced by her image-conscious folks. "I won't agree to a prenup. You either believe in me or it's finished." She stood firm, arms folded, head held high in challenge. She was issuing a demand. In that instant, a switch flipped within me. The affectionate, dreamy fog I'd been in dissipated, swapped for a sharp, sobering insight. This wasn't love or belief. This was a maneuver for control, a bargain. She was leveraging our bond for a stake in my hard-earned achievement. I gazed at her, at the lovely lady I believed I understood, and spotted an unfamiliar person. I inhaled deeply. "You're correct," I stated. A victorious grin began to appear on her face. "I'm pleased you recognize it, You're correct," I reiterated, interrupting. "It is finished." The quiet that ensued was overwhelming. Her mouth fell open. Her features shifted from astonishment, bewilderment, to a burst of intense fury. "What did you utter?" I said, "It's finished. I won't be coerced emotionally into matrimony. Thus we're through." She gaped at me, stammering. "You're discarding it all? Over a foolish document?" "No," I replied, heading to the sleeping area and snatching a travel bag. "I'm concluding this since you revealed your true self. You treat our union as a deal, and you attempted a forceful acquisition. I'm simply nullifying the agreement." That evening I crashed at Ryan's. I didn't shout. I didn't weep. I simply proceeded. I devoted 3 hours to calls. Initial 1. The event coordinator. Halt all plans. Next. The site. I absorbed the $10,000 irreversible fee. Third. The meal provider. Another $5,000 vanished. Flower arranger. Musicians. Picture taker. I methodically broke down our plans. One conversation after another. It was costly, but the price of inaction now felt vastly greater. Stephanie bombarded my device naturally. A torrent of messages, recordings. Initially furious, then imploring. I ignored them. I silenced my phone and focused on tasks. Update 1. All right. Well, this escalated far beyond what I anticipated. Appreciate the messages and feedback. Majority have been amazingly encouraging. To those labeling me a callous jerk, you missed the past 3 days. So the 3-day point. Here's where it intensifies. Following the early flood of texts, Stephanie fell silent for roughly a day, likely plotting. Then the online offensive began. It was a brilliant display of subtle manipulation. A monochrome image of us, beaming. The text: "At times you assume you truly know a person. My spirit is broken. Seeking understanding and recovery after he chose to abandon our affection over a sheet of paper. Devastated. Nerves. Affection isn't sufficient." The responses poured in with compassion for her and hatred toward me. I became the villain who crushed this kind, pure lady's soul. Shared acquaintances messaged me. "Man, what occurred? You all right?" Then the intensification. Her folks, Ronald and Deborah. Ronald phoned first, attempting to bully. "Jason," he began, straight to it. "I don't grasp what scheme you're running, but you're committing the gravest error ever. You must repair this. Immediately." "Nothing to repair, Ronald. It's concluded. You don't simply terminate a betrothal to my child. Families are affected." Images. "You're shaming her." She presented a demand. I merely accepted her conditions, I stated, tone neutral. He disconnected. 60 minutes later, Deborah rang, employing the remorse approach. The true shock was Stephanie appearing at my place yesterday evening. The moment I unlocked the door, she erupted in sobs. "Jason, I beg you," she wept. "I was frightened. I was foolish." Aired. "Don't proceed. I'll endorse the prenup. I'll endorse whatever. I just need you returned." For a brief moment, I sensed a trace of former affection. But then I examined her expression and it felt staged. This wasn't remorse. This was panic. She'd made her move, failed, and was attempting to reverse it. "No, Stephanie," I responded, retreating to block entry. "You won't endorse it as there's no event. No ceremony." Her demeanor altered swiftly. The crying ceased. The facade dropped. "You scoundrel," she whispered. "You'll rue this." The initial true repercussion I issued was an electronic message. I compiled all irreversible payments for the event. The sum reached $27,450. I included receipts and a table. The note was concise. Title: Concluding Joint Costs. Stephanie, since the ceremony is off, here's the detailed roster of irreversible fees. Your portion is $13,720. Kindly send funds in 30 days. I've covered them completely to safeguard our ratings. Best, Jason. Her reply was one sentence. "Are you serious?" I stayed silent. "I'm serious. This was purely transactional." Update 2. These past weeks have been tough. The phrase total destruction falls short. Stephanie and her kin have resolved that if they can't claim part of my tomorrow, they'll wreck my today. The indirect online jabs were merely the beginning. They've initiated a full-on attack on my firm. A surge of single-star ratings on Google and Yelp emerged suddenly, all from fresh profiles with comparable phrasing. The proprietor is dishonest and unreliable. Avoid dealings with this outfit. The leader is a deceptive fraud. Their sense of privilege is astonishing. You injured my emotions, so I can demolish your career. My gut reaction was sheer alarm. I'm human. Witnessing my firm's score drop and perusing falsehoods about my integrity sent a chill through me. A veteran customer contacted to inquire after spotting the critiques. We forfeited a potential deal. I can't confirm the ratings were the only reason, but the coincidence was suspicious. That was a $50,000 opportunity. Lost. For several evenings, sleep evaded me, just fixating on the roof. Gut twisted. But post-alarm came a frigid, fierce rage. This transcended a split. This was conflict. I contacted Ryan. His legal mind jumped to slander and false statements. But he cautioned it's tough to prove and pricey. Require concrete evidence. So I investigated. They were overconfident, and overconfidence creates traces. I didn't seek a hidden network address. I simply linked the elements. One critic, a Sharon P., employed the identical handle. Stephanie's relative, Sharon Peterson, uses for her open Instagram and payment app. Another critique referenced a flawed protection element in a software version. A fact from a trial phase discussed in emails I shared with Stephanie, whom I innocently confided work issues to. They were leveraging confidential info to lend credibility to their public deceptions. It was their arrogance that sealed their fate. Additionally, the housing mess is horrific. I can't remove my signature from a joint rental. I'm obligated legally till it concludes. Stephanie, aware, submitted her rent share 2 weeks delayed, ensuring it affected my financial history. She's deliberately inflicting economic harm. The height of their boldness was from Ronald. He phoned once more. Jason, this has progressed too much, he declared, as if a ruler calling peace. I concur, I replied. Excellent. Stephanie will rise above. We'll overlook that absurd invoice you forwarded. You express regret openly and we advance. I genuinely chuckled. A sour, cutting noise. Advance? You and your relatives are attempting to ruin my enterprise and finances. Stephanie is wounded. She's reacting. You can't fault her. Fine, Ronald. My response proposal, I said, voice stable amid the rush. You'll transfer $13,725 for the event expenses. You'll remove all phony critiques in 24 hours and Stephanie will leave the residence at lease end without tricks. Achieve that and I won't seek court remedies. He sneered. You're imagining things. You can't substantiate anything. I possess captures, Ronald. I have recorded harassment patterns. I have a message where your offspring's kin used her actual identity for a false critique. You're not as smart as you assume. I'm offering one final opportunity to halt before it turns highly visible and costly. He ended the call. The decision rested with them. But now I was prepared for the outcome. Final update. It's been an arduous, draining 8 months. No lone dramatic revelation occurred. Fairness, I've discovered, isn't a sudden blow. It's a gradual, systematic effort that drains you and drains your wallet. But we've reached the conclusion. After my discussion with Ronald, no changes. The critiques remained. No funds arrived. They doubted my resolve. So with reluctance and firm resolve, I instructed Ryan to advance. We didn't merely dispatch a notice. We initiated a civil case. The claims were precise and solid. False statements, written defamation, and wrongful business meddling. Ryan suggested pursuing event costs was less strong and could complicate matters. But we could leverage it in talks later. The action emphasized the proven economic injury to my operation. We possessed proof. The orchestrated critique pattern, the relative's mistake, the exact private facts in their fabrications, and an evaluation of the forfeited deal and image harm. The court procedure was torment. Months of evidence gathering, sworn statements, and fees that stunned me. They countered, naturally, submitting requests to throw out and asserting it was mere views. Their tactic was to exhaust my resources, figuring I, as a modest entrepreneur, couldn't sustain a long battle. This caused my restless periods. Weeks where I contemplated surrender to end it. I was losing funds on attorney costs, while my financial standing suffered from Stephanie's rental tactics. It was the most tense phase of my existence. The shift happened during sworn testimonies. Under questioning, Stephanie's relative faltered when shown links between her digital profiles and the critics. Stephanie, when probed on the technical specifics in a critique, couldn't justify her knowledge without confessing she obtained it from me privately. Their counsel recognized the inevitable. He advocated for a resolution meeting. The ultimate clash wasn't a theatrical face-off. It was 4 hours in a bland meeting space reeking of old brew. Me, Ryan, Stephanie, her parents, and their attorney. Stephanie appeared fatigued and resentful. Ronald seemed diminished. The arrogance vanished, substituted by tired bitterness. Our starting request was complete business compensation plus all my court expenses. Their opening bid was offensive. We negotiated for hours. This wasn't a celebration. It was a tiring discussion. Ultimately, we agreed. I didn't secure all. I relinquished the request for extra penalties. And we accepted a figure for the operation loss below my desire, but above what they'd risk in trial. The concluding payment they issued covered roughly 70% of my overall losses and fees. As part of the deal, they agreed to a confidentiality pact and a no bad-mouthing provision, legally preventing any future references to me or my operation. And they needed to submit formal withdrawals to the rating platforms. I also insisted on Stephanie's event share, and Ryan incorporated it into the final sum. It wasn't flawless success, but it was definitive. It drained me but them more. The consequences for them were severe, yet plausible. Stephanie wasn't dismissed dramatically. Rather, the case details, which are open, circulated in her workplace. She was assigned an improvement program and excluded from key tasks. Her job atmosphere turned hostile. She resigned 5 months back. From what I know, she's in a lesser role and returned to her parents to assist with the payment. Ronald and Deborah are outcasts in their group. The tale spread, not via legal documents, but through gossip in affluent networks that travels quickly. They're seen as the guardians who advised their child against a prenup and then sought to devastate her former partner when it failed. They sold their extra vehicle to cover their portion. For me, the settlement funds mainly cleared my remaining court debts. I didn't experience elation, just relief. The constant pressure lifted at last. My operation is rebounding. We secured a major new account and I've gradually restored my firm's standing. I'm changed. That composed, clear mindset from the first day was a coping tool. This ordeal has worn me out and instilled a profound wariness I lacked previously. I haven't pursued romance, unsure when I'll trust deeply again. The ordeal marked me, but it's a healed mark. A cue that when people reveal their essence, accept it, and prepare for the battle to reclaim what they aim to seize.